What really kicked me into gear about this opportunity was that we would have a discussion about what equity actually meant.
It's huge, and trying to really understand, what do you mean by equity versus what do I mean by equity?
In order to have an equitable system so that all students can achieve, we really have to get our stuff together. And so the adults have got to figure out how to develop and implement a coherent system, because the kids that need us the most really thrive in a system where all the adults are on the same page and moving in the same direction.
We want to make sure that every child has the opportunity to learn. The barriers that we know that commonly exist, we need to be able to remove those. And it shouldn't be a challenge, it shouldn't be a difficult thing, because kids are kids.
All means all comes to mind. When you're working towards coherence, obviously you're going to do individual things differently for the individual students in your classroom, but you want to make sure you are reaching all of those kids and moving them all towards the point at the end that everyone is ultimately, hopefully, envisioning.
Education historically has not been beneficial for people of color. You have gender inequities, and so what we're trying to do is make sure that everybody benefits from education as we should have from the beginning. So this gives us a new start in making sure that everybody wins.
Racism is part of the air we breathe, and so we have to be, again, very explicit about making those changes and looking at the system itself.
So I think this idea that this is a process and that we all have a long way to go on our journeys, no matter who we are and where we are, is so essential. But that doesn't stop the idea that we can also support others on their journeys and engage in this work thoughtfully with others.
Well, as educators and system leaders, it's our duty and responsibility to create a more just and equitable public education system. And if we were to design for coherence without designing for equity at the center of that, we could actually exacerbate the inequities that already exist in our public schools.
A really deep learning around coherent system building is one where we design in the margins, and margins to me is communities of color who have disproportionately received, I think, less than what they deserve.
One of the main reasons that we're doing this coherence work is to advance equity. I would argue that coherence doesn't necessarily do that. Actually, you could design coherent systems that disable equity, right? And so I think what's really important is ensuring that we ask ourselves, how are the things that we are bringing together moving our equity agenda, and being really deliberate about that as we do the work.